Good. Happy Sunday afternoon, everyone. I'm Riley King. Welcome to the Sunday afternoon edition of Politics with Riley King. Let's begin. We have a lot of political news to get to this Sunday afternoon, so let's get started. First up, voting records of candidates for NHDP chair reviewed. Since 2006, Buckley has the perfect voting record. Solidity has missed 4 elections, was registered undeclared until 2017. State creates reverse account beginning with $25 million for unused recouped COVID-19 relief funds. When finalized, the funds will be distributed to fill gaps left by pending federal funding initiatives, officials say. Mask sanitization, extra precautions implemented for town elections. Town officials prepare for elections as pandemic continues. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Homeowners, this incredible tip is just for you. If you owe less than $331,760 on your home and you haven't missed a single mortgage payment in 6
In Wolfboro, town election day will look similar to last year's elections. Voting areas 6 feet apart and specific instructions on how to enter and exit.
We have them coming in one door and going out another door, so that they're not going out the same door.
There will also be a limit on how many people can enter at a time.
We're using sanitation, and we're providing rubber gloves for people who want them, and special pens that are sanitized.
In Greenland, a company is coming in to sanitize their voting area, and safety measures will be in place.
Standard thing, 6 feet apart, masks, and we have had no problem, even with all the elections we had last year. We didn't have one person who gave us a hard time about wearing a mask or the social distancing.
The town clerk here in Epping says anyone who does not want to wear a mask while voting will be directed to a different area.
We do have a room that is set up separately, that if there are people, whether it's medical conditions or they just choose not to wear a mask, there is a separate entire room that they can go into and do their voting there.
For everyone else,
when you get to the door, you're going to be greeted by the fire department that will take your temperature and provide masks to you.
And in Newton, their voting location will be at the new fire station.
We keep the garage doors open to let a lot of fresh air in.
Once voters arrive, they will be directed to stay in their cars until it's time to vote.
So they can patiently wait in their cars. Our police officers do a great job of directing them to parking spots.
Once inside, voters will use a touchless ID check-in,
which is a camera that lets you just slide your ID under it, so the ballot clerk can see your ID without ever touching it.
Masks will be required, but they will have special areas for those who don't comply. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Along party lines, state and Senate approves bill requiring more information for absentee ballots. Republicans say bill could help prevent fraud. Democrats note there's no evidence of widespread fraud. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Homeowners, this incredible tip is just for you. If you owe less than $331,000
on a party line 14-10 vote, New Hampshire Senate Republicans approved legislation they say is about election integrity. Senate Bill 54 would require voters to provide more information confirming their identity, such as a driver's license number, in order to obtain an absentee ballot. Democrats slammed the bill as a solution in search of a problem.
We do not have a problem with the identity of people who apply for absentee ballots.
While repeated inquiries and an exhaustive 2018 state investigation have found no evidence of widespread or coordinated voter fraud in New Hampshire, Republicans are concerned there is an opportunity for fraud to occur in the absentee process.
And it could be, even though I do not think it is rampant across the state, it may be that we haven't found it because we haven't looked.
Democrats noted that Secretary of State Bill Gardner testified last year to the integrity of absentee voting in New Hampshire.
In fact, the Secretary of State repeatedly stated how secure it was and that it had been in place for decades without any significant fraud or incidents.
Republicans contend Democrats are overhyping the potential negative impacts of this bill in terms of extra work for clerks and potential obstacles for voters. They say this is already information the state requires for ballot access on Election Day.
They're asking for an individual's driver's license or non-driver's picture ID card number and the state of issuance, the last 4 digits of their social security number, and that's it. How could you tell me how this would be a huge imposition?
Adam Sexton, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Gordon MacDonald sworn in as New Hampshire Supreme Court Justice. MacDonald served as New Hampshire Attorney General for 4 years. On Thursday, Gordon MacDonald was sworn in as Chief Justice of New Hampshire Supreme Court. New Hampshire bill would end life sentence without possibility of parole. Authorities of the bill curved out expectations for convictions of capital murder. Let's take a listen to that video.
When it's time to invest in a new roof, be smart and look at more factors than just the final price. Not all roofs are the same.
A group of lawmakers in Concord is making a push to end life sentences in prison. Several bills this year aim to give incarcerated felons more opportunities to regain their freedom, but one controversial piece of legislation would end life sentences without the possibility of parole. That bill is facing stiff opposition, including from advocates for truth in sentencing.
If you think sentences are too harsh, you should change the penalties that are set out in statute. You could do it one by one.
Authors of the bill did carve out an exception for convicts of capital murder, which would bar one current New Hampshire inmate from seeking parole. On a vote of 12-8, the House Criminal Justice Committee gave the bill a negative recommendation.
Okay, and that does it for this afternoon edition of Politics with Riley King. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon edition of Politics with Riley King. Have a great rest of your afternoon. See you back here later on for next time for another edition of Politics with Riley King. See you back here next Sunday for a new edition of Politics with Riley King. And have a great week ahead of you, everyone. Goodbye.